Well, good evening. It's nice to see a good turnout here tonight. That makes these boys a little bit more excited. I told them to give good, crisp, sharp, lengthy answers, no yes or no, up or down statements. Be excited about what you've learned and explain some of the things. And somebody asked, well, who's going to be asking the questions? That was David. I said, your dad is. Haven't you figured that out yet? And so this ought to be quite the challenge. In the scriptures, it was there were great leaders had mentors. And you take, for example, Moses, even though he led the people out of the wilderness, in the wilderness, and across the Red Sea, etc., his father-in-law probably was one of his strongest mentors that give him some guidelines on how to run a nation, how to set up a government and a legislative system. Then Joshua was under the tutorship of Moses. Moses passed away. There was Joshua. Beneath Joshua, there was another strong man by the name of Caleb. And so these men were high-ranking men in armed forces and also in leading the people of Israel. You get to the New Testament, you would find Timothy was pretty much had Paul as his mentor. And then, of course, there were others, as the apostles, they would have men that would be leaders beneath them. And so I say all that so that we understand that when we invest a lot of money, and these young men and women invest a lot of their own time earning money to go on these trips, these kind of camps that they go to are more than just fun times, although they can be fun. They're very demanding. And it's because good leaders need to be taught, and they need to be trained. We're not capable of doing all of that here. I'm not capable of giving that kind of lesson and education to them that other men, where that is their primary occupation, that is their forte when it comes to worldviews. And so in order for the church to be able to stand firm and for pastors to be up in the pulpit to explain to the people, this is understanding the times. These are the way things are today, and here is why. Here's the biblical answer for that. And so we chose these men because of their character, because their hunger for leadership. There's a book that we're reading in preparation for our staff meetings at the beginning of the school year. It's called Do the Hard Thing. I'd recommend for all of you in this auditorium, it's another one of those, I do recommend it. I have $9. You can buy it online. For another $5, it will convert to an Audible, and it's a very, very easy read. But it's a couple of teenagers that at age 16, they worked for Alabama in a judicial race. And it tells of their adventures. And their whole theory, after they had started a blog about doing the hard thing, was to challenge teenagers across the nation to rebel against the myth of adolescence, rebel against the idea that you're stuck in a rut and teenagers can't do anything, that they're all the negativism that goes in with it. And so their idea of doing the hard thing was to face the challenges and prove to society, to their peers, and to the adult community that we can do hard things. It's a well-written book, and these men represent that because they do the hard thing. They rise above their peers in the classroom. They've demonstrated by observation from the staff that they're leaders within their own group. They do hard things like not surrendering to the persuasion of the group. They lead, they challenge the other students. They're faithful in the Word of God. And so they will be, you watch them, and they're going to be a challenge to us, even as adults, because they do things that are above and beyond the ordinary. You can have a negative kind of leadership or a negative kind of outlook on young people today. Well, at least they're not doing this, and they're staying out of trouble, etc. But if that's all we have to say, then all we do is enter into a status quo. They rise above that. And the leadership training at Summit Ministries helps in this area and presents to them some very difficult learning. They won't be able to capture it all. It grows on you. So tonight they're going to be in an interview, and Pastor Sam is going to ask field questions to them, and their answers will be a reflection of what they've learned, a little bit about their plans, their attitudes, etc. I want to leave it open also to the congregation that should you have a question that you would like to field with them, feel free to raise your hand. We'll make sure that you get a microphone, maybe because the cord doesn't reach, but at least speak loudly so that they can hear and give them to the opportunity to answer the question. So Pastor Sam, young men and women, if you'll come up, it would be David, John, Sarah, and Garrett over here. They'll all come up and have a seat and enjoy the evening.
All right, so first of all, I can attest to how strenuous their schedule is. This was not your regular youth camp that we've been to before, right? This was not just a bunch of goofing off and playing around. When I went last year, I only went for half days. I had to work the other half, but I did their entire morning schedule with them, and I brought back enough notes for me. And that was only half a day. They went full days. So there is a lot going on. So this is going to be for all four of you. So I guess we'll just start here and go that way, unless you'd like the ladies to go first. The lady specifically said no, so we will forgo that and start over here and go that way so that she can prepare her answer. All right, so all four of you, describe a day at Summit. What was the schedule like, of course, in your own words?
Long. Early wake up. Class. More class. Class. Another class. Lunch. Another class. Free time. Dinner, which I like dinner. Then more class.
Yes.
And then small groups, and then bedtime.
Okay. All right, David?
Okay, so for me, it wasn't wake up early. I slept in a little.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in just a minute.
I got to breakfast with, 5-10 minutes to eat. A lecture, break, lecture, lunch, lecture, free time, dinner, which was not all that great, but it was good. And then another lecture. For Garrett and I, free time wasn't, not free time. We didn't really have small groups. We had debate class, and he'll probably say something on that later. But it was more lighthearted than a normal small groups because we were the youngest group. But that was a day. Classes, and eat when you can.
Garrett?
Well, I was the one waking David up. So. But I mean, that's what they said. Class.
Yeah.
Oh, John forgot breakfast. That was an important part.
John forgot breakfast?
Yeah, he didn't mention
say
breakfast. Yeah. Breakfast was my favorite part.
Okay.
Because,
Of the whole thing?
No, I'm just saying out of like dinner, lunch,
Okay.
It was the only
breakfast is
time we
important.
could get ice cream, though.
Yeah.
Favorite meal?
Well, we could, but we didn't.
Okay.
But, yeah, we had class, and we'd eat,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd have more class, and we'd have like a 5-minute break, and then more class.
Okay. Sarah, please help us. Shed some feminine light on this class.
Class and volleyball.
Class and then volleyball. Okay. Food. All right. All right. So I guess you kind of got the idea. It's class, 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 food, class, play a little bit, food, class, class, bedtime. There'll be a quiz later. All right. So getting back to this whole 5 minutes to eat breakfast, is it true that no amount of alarm clocks or devices can wake up Garrett and David especially?
Garrett was the worst one.
Garrett was the worst one?
He did not.
It says especially after your name.
Okay, well, I would sleep in the mornings. Garrett would sleep in a little bit, and then John would sleep during free time.
John would wake up too early.
Yeah, John would be up at 5.
I was
every
listening to their
morning.
alarm clocks while they didn't wake up at all. Fun. Not at all.
The second week I turned off my alarm, though, because it wasn't working. So I just turned it off.
That's probably why it's
For
not
John.
working, because you quit using it.
Well, it was bothering John, and they were waking me up anyways. So I just turned it off.
Steel-toe boots work very well. I found that out in college. So just
I was tempted to use wet water.
that works too. Yeah.
I like dry water better, though.
Wet water. Yeah. He's just being detailed, that's all. All right, so you met a lot of Christian young adults. Tell us what that was like. And again, this is for all 4 of you, so.
Sarah's turn.
No, she says no. All right. It just doesn't have to go in a row, just whoever wants to.
All right. The environment there is very encouraging, I guess, because even summer camps like Teen Extreme or the Wild, you won't find a camp where it's so based on the Christian standpoint. Everybody there, except for I think one person I met, was a Christian, and even that one person was open to hearing the gospel and all that. And it was I guess relaxing because everybody there was, on the same page. Yeah.
Okay.
It was good to be with other Christians. It was very spiritually minded. All of us were there for the same purpose. So we were all interested in talking to each other about the same things, discussing ideas, or just having fun when we could. The small groups, close-knit, except for your debate class. Mine was pretty good, so.
Okay, well, explain this. You've come back to it again. Explain what is this debate class that you had? Why was it a debate class?
Okay.
Let's go ahead and go there.
We had one kid. Well, Garrett and I, we kind of kept quiet for the first week, which was when the
Does
debate.
that shock anybody else here?
Okay, during the debate, we weren't saying much. We were listening and laughing. But there was one kid in there whose name was Noah, who was, believe it or not, I don't know, more hype than Garrett. It's not. I don't know if that's possible, but he was, I don't know what it was, but he was crazy, and then the good crazy. But there was another kid who was guru on everything. He knows everything about every subject, and he would make our discussions or debates funny, I guess. And the other kid, Noah, who was like Garrett, his laugh just made it go on, and yeah.
Okay. So was he a guru, like, really, or did he just think he was? Or that's an opinion.
I guess what made it so funny was that he thought he was.
Okay, that's all right.
But
All right, so back to this whole idea of Christian young adults, continuing with Garrett and then Sarah.
It was different. It was, like they both said, like how John said, we were all there for the same purpose. Like, all to go learn a bunch of, like, hear what the speakers had to speak about, see what they had to say, and it was just a good environment to be around.
Okay. Sarah?
It was really encouraging to like see all those young adults who are Christians. There are a lot out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, during your classes, you covered topics like sexuality, gender, truth, worldview, why there is evil in the world, evolution, atheistic thinking, abortion, relativism, warnings on pornography, our confidence in the Word of God, economics, how not to read the Bible, marriage and the family, Islam, biotechnology, doubt, and God's will. Intensive. Okay. Will each of you tell us which of these areas most captured your attention and why?
Okay, fine. I'd have to say the talk on gender, just because that's a big issue right now. Well, not big, but it's prevalent right now, and
yes, it's prevalent.
And big, yes. To hear why the other side is arguing, and then to hear how we refute that, not just from a biblical standard, but also from a scientific standard. It was refreshing, and it was good to learn about how to refute the ideas that are out there. Not just that they're wrong biblically, but also morally and scientifically. So.
Okay. Good. Somebody else?
Okay. I probably Terry Moffat and Alan Sleeman. Alan Sleeman spoke on Islam, which impacted me the most last year because I'd been hearing a lot of terrorist attacks that are and Islam and Muslims are mainly blamed for those attacks. So last year and this year both, that topic impacted me the most. But Terry Moffat, he had a lot of stories that reminded Garrett and I both, I'm sure all of us, about how dangerous the world can be. And he had a lot of stories about how he had a lot of weapons. I guess he had this like wrecking ball on his keychain or something like that. That was pretty cool. And I don't know how to explain it, but he had a bunch of stories about how God had protected him through all these, and how he was on multiple hit lists and all that, and by the mafia and many other stuff. And his reminded me how dangerous the world is, and how we need to, stand firm in our faith, and find security in God.
Okay.
One that I guess stood out to me the most was how not to read the Bible, because I can't remember who spoke on that one.
Turner.
Yeah. What was his first name?
Ken.
Well, I like that one because it told like how many verses people can like take out of context and misunderstand, I guess you say, and how you read it and you just mistake it for a different meaning, and then like a verse that is taken out of context, so it's like Philippians 4:13 or something. I don't know. Like he had a lot of examples that I can't remember, but that one stood out to me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Good. Sarah?
I like the talk on abortion a lot. It made it more understanding of how
Just hold it closer.
the talk on abortion. I like that. And the apologist, how if you understand who you're talking to, you'll be better able to explain the gospel to them instead of just telling them all these facts and like throwing it in their face.
Right.
If you understand them.
Yeah. Good. All right. So a little bit of a lighter question. Would you describe whitewater rafting as a near-death experience?
Hold on.
And what exactly is riding the bull?
Is it dangerous? Yes. If
No.
you get pushed in.
Oh,
No.
okay. It was safe to push him in.
Let's say.
The guide said we looked at her and she went like that. So I said and pointed at John, and she just nodded her head real quick. So I questioned it for about a half second. I was like, no, this will be fun. I pushed him in. But it's safe. The guides do most of it. Riding, the biggest drop was 4 feet. So like apparently that's big, but I don't necessarily know. That's the only rapid I've been on.
Okay.
But riding the bull is fun, I guess. She let John, Garrett, and I all do it at the same time, which during the 2 class 4s at the end, that was fun, cold.
And the water was wet, too.
So, again, we still don't have a definition. What exactly is riding the bull?
Sitting at the very front of the raft, not in it, but on the edge and holding on for dear life.
With your feet dangling out.
And
basically.
You're complaining about getting pushed out.
Well, I was holding on.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't pulling out until...
We were asked to push him.
Told.
You were told.
Told.
We were told.
That's a
told.
better story.
We were told to push him.
By your...
Guide.
See, so they had to.
We do what she says to stay alive.
Right, yes, to stay alive. Got to lighten the load a little bit.
Yeah. We weren't going to make it.
All right. Who was your favorite speaker? Tell us about why you connected with that specific speaker more than the others.
Well, I already said Alan Sleeman and Terry Moffat because of how it's so relative to today's world.
Okay.
I already answered that one.
Okay. Garrett.
Terry Moffat was, I'd say, my favorite, but one that stuck out to me the most was Michael Sherrard, right? That was his name, right?
Yeah.
He was, I don't know, the way he would talk, like each subject that he had, each like lecture, it's like the way he would say it, the way he'd make us like understand, it was like how he was like putting words into it, and for each different topic, it made me understand it a lot easier than any of the other speakers that spoke.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a pastor at a church. He was like, I don't know how to describe it. He was the pastor of Summit for that session, I guess. He's not a speaker that gets paid like Alan Sleeman, Mike Adams, Terry Moffat, none of them. But he was like, I guess, the local pastor, and he was a pastor of a church about our size, is what he described to us. So I guess we were more relatable to him because he was used to speaking to a congregation like ours.
Okay. John?
Dr. Jeff Myers was my favorite. And I shook his hand.
Shook?
I shook.
Shook.
I shook his hand with this hand.
Shook. Okay. Have you washed that hand yet?
Yes, I have
Okay,
washed his
good.
hand. He was my favorite because when he did his talk, after each point, he would give a story, and the story was very relatable to what he had just said, and most of them were pretty funny. Like the one, he told one about he was practicing for a race, so he ran a half marathon up a mountain, and then the next day he ran the other half of the marathon back down the mountain, and he had heard that some really old guy was also running the race, and he looked up his name, and he found out that the older one had run the half marathon, and then he'd also come back down, but he was only 15 minutes behind Dr. Jeff Myers, and he was like 30 years older than him. So
Yeah, the dude was
Yeah.
80.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was relatable, and he made it seem real with the stories that he gave because he brought them in. So.
If I'm not mistaken, Jeff Myers is the president of Summit, correct? Yeah. All right. Sarah.
I like Jeff Myers a lot too, and Christopher Yuan. His testimony was very hard.
Yeah.
So, like, seeing how much he changed was very inspiring.
Christopher Yuan is just in case you don't know, he is a man that was full-blown into the homosexual lifestyle. And his whole testimony, he wrote a book with his mother where the first chapter is Christopher's point of view through a certain time of his life. And then the next chapter is his mother's point of view, his mother being a Christian prayer warrior, about that same period in his life. And then the third chapter is another period in his life, and so on and so forth. So he does have a very powerful testimony. Yeah, you're right. Okay, tell us about the college, the town, some of the sites. What did you guys... Did you go back to your dorms the entire time, or did you actually spend some time?
John. No, I'm just kidding.
Reading is very important.
Reading
Just
is very
saying
important.
it
Yes,
is.
that is true. That is true.
Okay.
I feel like somebody just got thrown under the bus there.
No,
Threw
nobody.
himself under the bus.
Yeah.
We didn't really see much of the college. I mean, we saw the college because we were there, but like we weren't in any classes, or we didn't see a lot of the college students walking around. We weren't able to talk to them. But the college seems nice. It's kept well. The lawns are mowed, edges whacked. So it looked very nice. That was the college. Someone want to talk about the town?
Did you take any excursions out on the town? You were able to leave in groups of, 3, I think, right? As long as you had groups of 3, you were able to leave campus?
Yeah.
You went to the train tracks.
We went to the train tracks, and
There's corn on the tracks.
yeah, there was a stalk
There's
of
like
corn.
a stalk, yeah.
And Garrett and I went out to look at it.
Then a
And-
train came.
Yeah, they were all like, train, train. We were like, guys, this is an abandoned track. Please stop joking around. And then we hear the, toot toot. And we were...
The toot toot. Okay.
Yeah, I don't... What is it? Okay, we heard the train whistle.
Oh, there you go.
And,
You heard Micah behind you, basically.
yeah, we were like,
Yeah.
oh, how did Micah get here?
Yes.
But, that was probably the nearest to death experience.
More
I
than the
guess.
Whitewater Rapids?
Well,
Yes.
Garrett and I didn't get pushed off the raft, so...
We were pushing people
Yeah,
off.
we weren't in any danger. But,
Okay.
yeah, that was...
All right. So how did this whole experience prepare you for college? This is kind of a college prep type conference, right? I mean, first of all, I guess, did it prepare you for college? And then in what way do you think it prepared you for college?
The level of learning, I guess. It was, all the speakers there weren't your typical high school teachers, even though many of them were high school teachers. But they brought another level of learning at a very high standard. So I expect the same,
Okay.
I guess, at college.
Yeah, I was going to say it's just harder than high school.
Okay.
Well, I didn't have a problem with this, but I heard I didn't really hear from Sarah, but sleep, they weren't getting enough sleep. So, I mean, I wasn't struggling with that because I slept
Because
in.
you slept longer.
But
And he fell asleep 3 times in the classes.
I fell asleep once. It was an
You
economic
got
class.
caught once.
It was an economic class, and the dude was, monotone the entire time. So, I worked it up. I got my foot tapping, and I just, But, I mean, it wasn't even for the whole class. But it definitely gave us a sense of how much sleep you get in college, I guess. I heard you don't get a lot, but...
It depends, but okay.
Depends on if you want to go to your classes or not.
Right.
but-
You guys
Oh
got
yeah,
anything
he
on
had to It was
I had to leave a lecture to wake him up and then come.
Well, really?
it was the morning lecture, and the morning lecture started at 8:15, right? 8:15.
8:20.
8:20. Okay.
Not that you would know.
So Garrett,
This is the first I've heard about this. So
at 8:17, Garrett comes, and our rooms were, you were able to get into my room through the bathroom from his room, I guess.
those are called suites.
Sweets. Yes, I thought those were candies. But but Garrett comes in through my room. He starts shaking my bag, slapping my feet. He apparently slapped my face, but that didn't wake me up. And he wakes me up at 8:17, and I just throw my clothes on real quick because we're not allowed to go in our pajamas. So I had to change,
That's a good thing.
and then we run over to the lecture, and I was 5 minutes late, but we didn't get in trouble though.
Oh, it must be okay then.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I didn't do it again because it was embarrassing.
You
having
got
to
in
walk.
trouble for a different reason, right?
I don't remember.
Yes, I think I heard about this one. Is this where he
It was all John's fault.
It was, but we
left
took the
his
blame.
name tag? Yeah,
Oh, that?
Oh,
That
yeah.
one too?
that one too.
Oh, yeah. There was another one that was from the.
Guess we're gonna have
second
another
night.
discussion when we get home.
No. Okay. Well, I left my name tag in my room because it ripped off my lanyard, and when they were doing room checks, which we got a perfect room check for. Yeah.
I did too, but my roommate was messy.
But yeah, he took my name tag off my dresser, and I had to go up in front of everybody and sing "I'm a Little Teapot" to get it back. So.
Pretty sure it's teacup. Right?
Yeah,
Nah.
would you
I
do that
don't-
again, please?
I don't remember.
Don't
It's
remember.
very blurry. Yeah.
Future Congressman of America. All right. Let's go to this. Describe your small groups and the connection that you may or may not have had to the rest of the young people in your group and your group leader. So we'll start with Garrett since you have your microphone up to your mouth. Go ahead.
Well, a lot of the kids in our small group were mature.
Mature?
Yeah.
Manure?
Immature.
Well,
Immature?
Some of them.
Immature.
No, only like two,
Ooh.
not including me and David.
Of course.
But we're mature.
Okay.
But I mean, we got to know them good. We had a lot of good relationships with the people in our small group because I mean, we'd be seeing them every day for 2 weeks and like eating with them at lunch, eating with them at dinner, or just seeing them on the game field, just having personal conversations and stuff with them.
Yeah, Garrett and I got the same small group, so
It was crazy.
one of us had to dial it down for the leader, give him a break. That was me. Because I had to.
It was
But no, I mean, it was a fun time. Small groups this year were a lot more relaxed than they were last year, in my opinion, at least.
Why?
Last year our leader was a Navy SEAL. This year our leader was. I don't even think he was in college yet. He was 19, but he was. The main reason we weren't always so serious was because he would be the one laughing most of the time. But I mean, he was a good leader. We settled down about. We tried to settle down.
5 days before it ended.
Yeah, 5 days before we ended, when we got, when we all started opening up about stuff that we struggled with and what the speakers said that meant to us the most. But our small group was, again, the youngest, so we weren't all that serious, and our leader had a harder time getting control of us because he couldn't yell very loud. But yeah.
Okay. Sarah.
My small group was very diverse in girls. There were a lot of different personalities. There's this one girl who was really into Asian stuff, and another one who was a corn farmer.
A corn farmer.
Yeah. It was good. Our small group leader really opened up and shared her testimony. It was really encouraging.
John.
My small group leader was awesome. His name was Quinn. They're kind of jealous, slightly. But our small group was much more intensive than it seems like theirs was. Our small group leader didn't talk much. We discussed on our own. And most of the time we all left with either a headache or a whole lot of stuff to think about before we went to bed. But it was very encouraging to have the dialogue and the relationships that we had. The first 2 days I didn't even speak at all. Just didn't know them at all.
Typical John.
Yep. But by the end of the week, we'd basically become brothers. And it was just really heartening to have that kind of relationship.
Yeah, John's small group leader. He was cool. He was athletic. He was playing. I don't remember if he played college and high school or football in high school or football in college.
High school.
Okay.
Quarterback.
But he had a lisp, but like he wasn't ashamed about it. He would make jokes that his lisp made funny. And like he played during their, activity team skits. He would be Hillary Clinton, and he had his hair braided, like, I don't know how to describe it. What? Cornrows or cornrows? I don't know. But where it's a bunch of little braids going back, and half was, straight, because he had longer hair. And he said, yeah, in one of the skits he was like, "You like my new hairstyle? I'm preparing it for White House and jailhouse." But he was just being funny. And he stopped by our room a lot, mainly to make sure the beds were in correct places. Garrett stayed in his room. Noah, who was in our small group, stayed in his room. And John was asleep because he's a party animal. And but yeah, we all had our small groups were nice.
Okay, so what was the big aha moment or light bulb moment that you took away from Summit, and how are you different now than before you went? And how did this trip, this conference, impact your relationship with Christ? We'll open it up to everybody, but it says especially John and David, but everybody can answer. I don't know why it says that. But.
Okay. Yeah. This year, none of the speakers. Well, the speakers gave me a lot of good moments and good things to take home with me. But this year, my small group leader, we had, I want to say 3 or 4 one-on-ones, which normally you have only 2, one for each week. But I had a couple with him, mainly because the discussion we had, he told me on the last night, he said he was looking at me as a example, and I don't know how to, he said he took a lot from me, which he respected me, and I respected him again, and that gave me the sense of, I can be an example to older people than I am. And the fact that he looked at me for guidance in small groups, he looked to me to talk to during our one-on-ones. It really meant a lot to me to know that somebody could count on me in that sense. And that was probably the part of Summit that impacted me the most.
For me, it came, the big aha moment. It came for me during the last night of small groups. We had just heard Dr. Myers speak, and we were kind of taking it easy last night together, so we were having some fun. But I reflected back to something Mr. Myers had said, and I wrote it down. He said, "Run for an audience of one, run for your whole life, and if you fall, get back up." And when he said that, it seemed like a whole lot of this life got a whole lot easier. Running only for God, and then just not quitting. That's what I got from it most of all. And that showed me how being a leader, you lead for Christ, and as a leader, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. Well, hopefully not a lot. But the trick is getting back up and continuing on. So that's was it for me.
Okay. Garrett, Sarah? Still thinking? Sarah?
John Stone Street said, well, my moment was when John Stone Street said that the highest calling of a woman was to follow God, not to like you don't have to be a stay-at-home mom unless that's your calling. You don't have to be a stay-at-home mom, like, unless that's your calling, and you don't have to be like a feminist and be like, oh, woman power and all that, but just do what God wants you to do.
Okay. That's good. Here's how it works, see? You're the last one, so go ahead.
Can't remember who spoke on it again. There were a lot of different names. But one of the speakers spoke on, I think it was David or Barton Stone, yeah. He spoke on with his wife, Emma Stone. They had a topic, I can't remember what the topic was, but his part, he was talking about just being a better man and like striving to do things for God's glory instead of your own. And that just, I got a lot from that lecture as well.
Good. All right. Last question, and then we'll be done. This is probably the easiest question. Would you want to go to Summit again? And what would you say to any of your fellow students who are now interested in this type of experience? We'll start here and go down.
Absolutely, I want to go again. It was, when I first went, Summit was described as trying to drink out of a fire hydrant. The first time, you get blown away. You can hardly get back up. The second time, it's like drinking out of something slightly less powerful than a fire hydrant. And then by the third and fourth time, it's like drinking from a cup. And you finally get to take it all in and focus directly on that. So third, possibly even fourth time, I would love to go. And for anyone thinking of going, if you're questioning it, don't question it. Go. You will not regret it at all.
Okay.
I was really homesick. I mean, I've never been so homesick in my life. So I don't know if I would necessarily go again without, family members or, I mean, my friends were there and all that, but, I just missed home a lot. I wouldn't mind going again. John described it as drinking out of fire hydrant, drinking out of a slightly less powerful fire hydrant, but for me it was still, fire hydrant both times. It's a lot of knowledge, and you could go there multiple times and get different knowledge every time. It's like you read through the Bible once, you get knowledge, you read through it again, you get new knowledge again. It's one of those experiences to where the knowledge you can obtain is abundant and it's almost unlimited. So I wouldn't mind going again. If somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm looking to go to Summit," I would tell him, "Go." It's a life-changing experience, and yeah, it's a good place to be as a growing and maturing young Christian.
Okay, Garrett?
For going back, yeah, I would go back. I had a lot of fun, learned a lot or took back as much as I could learn from all the lectures we had. But if, like they said, if anyone were to ask or say that they were wanting to attend Summit and go, I'd tell them it's a good opportunity to learn a lot and take back as much as you can. Just, it's a good experience.
Okay. Sarah?
I would definitely want to go again. And for anyone who would want to go, it's really for sure not for everyone. Like, if you're not fully there and you don't really want to learn, then you're not going to get a lot from it. You have to really want it.
Okay. All right, good. I can attest that everything that they've said, at least this last part, especially with what Sarah just said, it's not for everybody. It is very much you have to prepare yourself to receive what they're trying to give you. If you go with your cup full, you've heard the analogy before, you're not going to be able to keep much of anything. You're just going to overflow, and you're going to miss a lot of stuff. But if you go empty, wanting to learn, then you can bring in a lot. But even still, a sponge can only hold so much water, right? So multiple times are probably the best way to go about it, so that you can learn some this year and then learn more next year and then so forth and so on. But okay, well, we're out of questions, although I do have one more. This will be, it intrigues me, so I want to know why. Is it true that there was a bit of a sibling rivalry on the paintball field?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well, it would be hard for you two to have a sibling rivalry, so I'm wondering if
isn't.
that's...
No, I don't know. I heard some... I kind of felt bad for Sarah from the stories John told me. It did not sound like a pleasant experience for her, but she said that she enjoyed it. They weren't on teams, but I mean, I wouldn't know. They
were on different teams?
Yeah. Did I say they're on teams?
Yes.
Oh, dearest apologies. But no, they were on separate teams, and I mean, some of the stories. I mean, I can't believe that John would hit a lady, let alone his sister.
I know, really.
But I mean, some of the stories were just gruesome. And gruesome.
Well, we need to hear some of these stories.
I heard he shot her in the neck.
Yeah.
You shot your sister in the neck.
Okay. Here's how it went, see.
Okay. What had happened was...
I was hiding behind a tree, and I see a gray long-sleeve shirt and a black short mask walk out from behind a building, and I see that she is not on my team, so I shoot. And I shoot...
To kill, apparently.
I shoot from the chest and go up to the neck on accident.
Oh, wait,
Sorry.
So the neck was actually the last shot?
Yes.
It missed all the rest of the times, okay.
But I didn't... Well, I did get shot.
Was this the only time that you got shot by John?
I heard more than once. Face mask and neck.
John, did you shoot your sister multiple times?
Possibly.
Model parenting, let me tell you. The first chance he gets to shoot his sister, and he doesn't.
I tried to get her on my team, but...
I don't blame him.
She walked away.
Wow. You're not making any friends here. You need to be careful.
No, I wouldn't shoot Sarah, of course. But, I mean, I would have shot my siblings. Except Aiden.
I would have.
Okay. All right, well, we'll go ahead and there's a lot of feedback going on up here. All right, we'll go ahead and close in a word of prayer. Pastor, do you want to do anything else?
I just have one question.
Okay, you have one question. Okay, go ahead.
For Sarah first, and then for John.
Okay.
If the material were to be reduced to a high school level, do you think it would be something that should be mandatory for at least the juniors and seniors? Or, because you mentioned that it's not for everybody. But if all of that at a high school level is being taught on a regular basis, first of all, I think that would be very good, absolutely, and would it make a difference with graduating students from the school?
Okay, so here's the question, just in case everybody else didn't hear it. For John and Sarah, since they said that it was not for everybody, the material covered, if that were lessened to some degree or brought down to a high school level, juniors or seniors, would that be something that you would want to see happen?
If it was brought down to high school level, I don't think it'd really be the same. So then it was a lot like the Understanding the Times curriculum and that by Jeff Myers and everything. So yes, I think it would be mandatory because it wouldn't be as difficult. Like if it stays at its level, then it should be optional because you gotta, like I said before, you gotta want it.
If it was brought down to a high school level, I would say definite mandatory for juniors and seniors, just because it teaches you not just our own Christian worldview, but it also teaches you the atheistic worldview, the Marxist worldview, the transcendentalist worldview. Words. But yes, if it was brought down, definite for juniors and seniors, and it would definitely affect our graduating students hugely. Seeing it opens your mind to what's out there. So it would definitely be helpful. Yes.
Okay, any other questions from the group? Any other questions? I don't want to, if you have anything for any of these guys.
Aiden.
Okay. All right, anything? Anyone? Oh. Assignments.
There's
No, mainly because assignments would fry our brains, as it were.
yeah.
What little free time we had is absolutely needed. You spend about 2/3 of your day in class learning college and post-college material. So assignments, no, but there was an option to do a theological course where you take a test, and that was, I guess, an assignment in its own way. So
They had a couple of different levels where you can do it for college credit, and even then you had different levels of college credit that you could do it for just, I think, 1 hour, and then one that was for 3 hours worth of college credit where you had to take a test and write a paper. So there is that ability, but that's more expensive, first of all, and then second of all, it is a lot of work. I think I can't remember exactly, but they spend like 60 hours
Yeah.
over 2 weeks in the classroom about talking about something like 100 different lectures, 100 different topics. So having each of those produce some kind of assignment or something like that would be way too much.
I'm a senior, and I'm looking at Bob Jones University and Pensacola Christian College right now.
I'm a junior. I'm looking at Pensacola, and there are some other colleges that I haven't looked much into, but they're interesting, like Dallas Baptist University, Liberty, and Bob Jones, like John was saying, that I'm looking at.
I'm a junior as well for college. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Spoken like a junior.
I'm still looking for a college.
Yeah. That's cool. Sarah?
I'm a sophomore, and I'm looking at Cedarville and University of South Alabama.
What are you looking there for?
Paramedic.
Paramedic? Okay. My stepsister, I graduated from there.
Which
From,
one? She
from
said
nursing
2
degree.
colleges.
From nursing degree. So, interesting.
Alabama.
Might get you to hook up with her. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Aiden?
Okay, Aiden, do you finally have a question? Okay, Aiden wants to know what was the first thing you wanted when you got home.
A good meal.
You didn't eat.
I needed a good meal.
The
Thank
food.
you,
The
Sarah.
food was good.
The food
Sarah
was
said it was
actually
nasty.
good.
They had good cereal.
But
That's
when
it.
you
That's
go
all
with the
you
last
need.
5 to 10 minutes left, it's been picked through, and it's not as good. So
It was
that's
breakfast.
the problem. You need
Nobody
to-
got breakfast
you-
except for Garrett and I.
But Garrett,
It
was the
seemed-
breakfast good?
We'd eat cereal for dinner, though.
You
Yeah.
eat cereal for dinner?
That's cereal and ice cream.
It was fine when I was there last year. Just saying. All right, so what was the first thing you wanted when you got home? Sleep?
Legos.
My room.
Legos.
Am I that bad of a roommate?
My bed. My Legos. Yep.
All right, Garrett. First thing you wanted when you got home? David already said a good meal, so.
Still thinking.
A kiss from Micah. Yeah.
How about she goes while I'm
Okay,
thinking?
well, you think. Sarah.
A shower and no roommate.
A shower and no roommate.
Yeah.
So your privacy. All right. All right.
I'd say to lose my roommate and be back with my family.
Okay, yeah, that's good. All right. So a little homesick there. All right. Well, we have deliberated it long enough. We've gone too far, so let's go ahead and close in a word of prayer, and we'll be dismissed afterwards. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. We thank you for the opportunity that you gave these 4 young adults to go and be part of this Summit Leadership Conference. We do ask that, Father, you would refresh the things that they had heard and learned there in their minds over the next coming weeks and months. Help them, Father, to take the initiative to look through the notebooks that they were given, to not forget those things that were taught, because when you learn something new, if you don't use it, it easily goes away. So we pray that you would give them that initiative, that drive, to continually return to this material that they have been engaged with. We ask that, Father, you'd give us all a safe voyage home as we each go to our separate homes. And we just ask that, Father, you would be with us tonight, give us good night's rest, and be able to tackle the week that you've prepared for us in the morning. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, you are dismissed. Thank you, and there you have it. You're dismissed.